So before we ask the questions, right, can we please get you both to introduce yourselves, your role, and your institution?
This is where the awkwardness starts, right? I'm Dr. Yvonne Villanueva Russell. I serve as the Dean of the College of Innovation and Design at Texas A&M University Commerce.
And I'm Dr. David Deggs. I serve as the Associate Director of Academic Programs for the College of Innovation and Design at Texas A&M Commerce. At Texas A&M Commerce, we have two competency-based degree programs for our adult learners. One of them is the Bachelor of Applied Arts and Sciences and Organizational Leadership. And our second degree program is our Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice with an emphasis on law enforcement leadership.
Our BAAS and organizational leadership, it was determined that in our service area and in our Dallas-Fort Worth regional area, there was a gap in industry. And we had a number of students that were graduating with degrees in business and management, but we wanted a broader degree in organizational leadership that would translate and allow those with prior work experience to be able to be promoted into more areas in a broader area of industry. For our Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice area, we had a traditional criminal justice program that continues to be very successful, but it was not fully online. And we also determined through our market analysis that there was a need for advanced degrees for first responders. So we actually narrowed that a little bit more and focused just on law enforcement leadership, creating a 100% online degree that would be flexible enough for those that were working in law enforcement to continue to work full time and then obtain the degree they needed for promotion. So that's the background in our two degrees.
So our competency-based degree programs at A&M Commerce are offered entirely online. We feel like that's very important to meet the demands and needs of our student population. We offer our courses in 7-week terms, so we generally have 2 7-week terms per traditional academic semester. Students enroll in 2 courses per 7-week term, and we find that allows them to really focus on a couple of courses and do quite well and not have to manage multiple courses at one time while they are pursuing their studies. Our tuition rate is $750 per term. It's a flat rate tuition subscription type model that we've created for our students. We have also adopted open education resource materials for the majority of our programs and our courses. We are constantly working with our library staff to identify new materials as new materials become available, but we feel like the commitment to OER is really important to keeping costs down for our students.
Or we're just answering how long has the program been running, but I can throw in, started with 7, has about 450. Is that where we're at right now, 450 students?
Between both CBE programs, Dr. Deggs, you gave me that number earlier, 670. So close to, in between both programs, I think we're close to 700 students.
I think so.
I think that's right.
And we could say, if you want to add it, that CBE now represents more than 50% of all our online enrollment, which is impressive.
Brag a little bit.
I mean, first term was 2014-20, so spring 2014. Yeah, I still remember. All right. Hey, you ready, Dr. VR?
Sure. Okay, our BAS Organizational Leadership Program was the very first Texas 4-year SAC-COC accredited school to launch a competency-based program. Launched in spring 2014, we started with only 7 students in our first cohort and have grown to nearly 500 students. In both of our competency-based programs, we're now approaching over 700 students in both of our programs. Our second program, the Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice, launched in the spring of 2018. It also had 7 students in the very first cohort, and after 2 years has over 200 students enrolled. At this point, both of our competency-based programs are comprising a statistic for our university that over half of our online students are in the College of Innovation and Design.
Beautiful. Another way to look at it is like if a student was starting from scratch, right? The way CBE is built, they should be able to accelerate 1 year in compared to their more traditional peers that usually take 4.
So basically, they're completing their degree about 20% more quickly than their peers in traditional programs.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And that's a comparison to the AAS program.
Okay, let's see if I get this right. This is fun with numbers. So we recently reached a milestone in our university, and we have surpassed 1,000 graduates in our competency-based education programs as of spring 2021. For a program that's been in existence since 2014, that's quite a milestone to speak about the longevity of our program and the success we're having with students. We're also very proud that our competency-based program reduces costs for students for their degree. This certainly aligns to some of our state level initiatives, specifically our 60 by 30 Texas initiative, where we would have 60% of our adult learners with a degree or a college credential by the year 2030. And so we're really making great strides to help keep college costs attainable for students who are pursuing their degree. And the other thing that we're very proud of is that when we look at our students and how they perform compared to traditional students in traditional programs, our students generally complete their degrees 20% more quickly or faster than their peers in other traditional-based programs.
I'd like to talk about the student population in our Bachelor of Science of Criminal Justice program, and I'll let Dr. David Deggs talk about the student population in our organizational leadership program. One of the interesting things that we're finding with our criminal justice program is that we're not only getting working professionals that are working, these crazy 3-day, 72-hour shifts and still managing to complete their degree while employed full-time, but we now accept professional certification for college credit, which is opening the doors for first-time adult students with no prior college to come in and obtain a bachelor's degree 100% online and maintaining full-time employment. The best part about this is that many of them have employment tuition reimbursement, so they are going to college with our $750 tuition, with a reduced tuition because they're active law enforcement officers in the state of Texas, and they receive tuition reduction from their employers. So many of them are going and obtaining a college degree at no cost to them.
We are very fortunate that our organizational leadership program draws students from very many different career sectors and industries. We have students from financial services, we have them from telecommunications, supply chain and logistics, just to name a few. What we find is we have many people who have maybe some college under their belt, maybe they've gotten their associate degree at a community college, they've been working in business industry for a number of years, and they're ready for that promotion to be a team lead, be a project manager, or to advance to the next career track for their industry, and they need the degree. The leadership degree really helps them become industry leaders in many different contexts and areas. They get a lot of background training in essential areas from communication to strategic management to leadership that really helps them to be marketable in very many different career industries.
In our discussions with industry and particularly community colleges, we have come to realize that the creation of new programs needs to be aligned with industry and community colleges' needs. The community colleges told us that students, particularly in CTE programs, very much would like a bachelor's degree in which their transcript reflects kind of a workforce-leaning degree. And so while we have the organizational leadership and the criminal justice degree, we are working to create more specific tracks that align with particular CTE areas that are out there to make them more attractive for community college transfers, but also for industry and the needs that they need for their future employees. We have also been fortunate in that all of our programs that have been developed we have been fortunate in that all of the programs we have developed have been developed through very generous grant funding. The Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board funded our first 2 programs. Our next 2 programs are funded by a generous $800,000 grant from the Greater Texas Foundation. The success of our programs is starting to gain momentum within our institution, and so we are hoping to launch 2 new programs in the fall of 2020, but for the fall of 2022, we're hoping to convert 2 of our existing institutional programs to the competency-based format. So what is exciting is that we've gotten external support to build new programs, and we're starting to grow internal support to grow programs within our institution as well.
Perfect. Okay. So because this is coming to, I mean, this is really for newer people just investigating CBE. They're wanting to get it to build a CBE program at their institution. We always try to leave this one here, right? Talking about a couple of strengths and then maybe some areas of opportunities. We don't have to call them weaknesses, but maybe areas of opportunities. So if you were to give a couple golden nuggets, what is our programs? What are they doing well? And maybe where are there some room for opportunity?
I'm going to give a couple answers, and we may delete. So, so I've been at A&M Commerce for 6 months, and one of the things that I've come to appreciate about our programs as a strength, is that they're very student-centric. We meet students wherever they are on their educational journey. We have students that come to us with maybe a semester or two of credit from community college. We come to students with us who have an associate's degree and beyond, and we're able to take their credit and we're able to develop a degree program that meets them where they are. And so we see a very rich learning experience where students are able to combine their prior education and training along with their work experience to really accelerate well in the CBE format. We find that the 7-week format really enables our students to really demonstrate their skill sets, their competency, their knowledge more quickly, and be able to validate that learning and advance and move forward. And so what I really have come to appreciate about competency-based education is that it really takes that holistic approach of looking at that adult learner and looking at all the ways that they bring meaning to what they're learning and how they're demonstrating competency. And I think that our program structure does that very well, and also enables the adult learner to have some opportunities to have some wins, to have some success, where maybe they've not had some pleasant experiences in education before. They start to have some wins and some successes, and they get that momentum so they can actually achieve their goal of earning their degree. Dr. VR, I don't know if that's the take you would put on it or not.
Yeah, I think what I would add in terms of our strengths is not only the student-centric professor, but the wraparound advisement services that we provide. So from the point of inquiry to the point of graduation, you have an advisor that is proactively, intrusively advising you, reaching out to you when you haven't registered, cheering you on when you don't think that you can finish, and encouraging you to finish and accelerate. And our students graduate with gratitude. I've worked with every student population, and I have never seen students so grateful to cross the stage. And they worked for it. They have overcome the odds. And had it not been for our flexibility, they would never have gotten a college degree. And so to see that satisfaction, not only on their faces, but their entire family's faces, and they want to meet their professors for the first time face-to-face. They want to meet their advisor for the first time face-to-face. So seeing that just makes it all worth it. And I think that's something you just don't see in other programs, and it's definitely a strength of competency-based education.
See, Courtney, we did save the best for last. Okay, so what are and maybe again, I like that how we went from Dr. Dex to Dr. VR or vice versa. What are some areas of opportunities? Maybe Dr. Dex, as you coming in, things that maybe you're working on now, because there were some weaknesses in the program. So what can you share with the field around areas that you guys are working on or looking to work on?
So I think areas of opportunity, and I think this applies to all degree programs on college campuses, not just CBE programs. I think this is something that traditional programs and other online programs have to think about, is how do you constantly monitor how you're delivering student support services? We have been very focused in the last several months on trying to make sure that our online students and CBE programs are aware of the support they can get from our different university offices working remotely. And so an area that we have really been trying to emphasize is that even though you're an online competency-based student, you still have access to the library, you still have access to the writing center, you have access to a tutor if you need help in a course. And so the more that we can reinforce those messages with students, the more that we can be successful. So that's something that we've been trying to give a little bit more attention to, so that adult learners don't feel lost and kind of, making sure that those wraparound services truly are comprehensive in nature. And I think as we learn more about our adult learners on today's college campuses, those of us who work in higher education as faculty and administrators are going to be challenged to make sure that those online services remain as comprehensive as possible to address student needs. So that's how I would think about an area of opportunity for our program.
And I would take this question in a very different angle. So in terms of weaknesses, I wouldn't say it's a weakness, but I would say it is a defining feature that competency-based education is not a magic bullet for every student that needs a college degree. So we know in the state of Texas alone, there are 4 million Texans that have partial college and no completion. And whereas many universities are ignoring or turning a blind eye to these students, we're very aggressively going after these students because we know in today's changed economy, a bachelor's degree is a requirement to get the foot in the door. But with that being said, competency-based education is very much an attractive and affordable, a timely, a current method and mode of instruction for these students, but it is not a perfect fit for all students. So those that lack a strong internet connection, those that maybe have excessive financial aid hours and don't qualify for financial aid any longer may still find a $750 degree still out of range for them. Those that need structure, those that are not capable of working at their own pace and they want that teamwork. Students, the competency-based program works remarkably well because time is on their side. They can work after hours, they can work in the morning, they can work at their own pace and their schedule allows. But for other students, they need the structure, they need the adaptive interaction with the professor, and they definitely lean on the interaction in real time with their fellow students. So for a student that needs that structure, a traditional program works better for them. But seeing that all of us are working on a structural problem of adult completers and working professionals that need a credential, I don't necessarily see that as a weakness. I just see that as the niche of competency-based education that applies to some, but maybe not all students that are out there.